We're reading every Spider-Man ever, and this is X-Men issue 27. The X-Men, wearing brand new costumes, are fighting a man called the Mimic for the second time. Like his name suggests, he can mimic all of their powers, and so he uses Cyclops' optic blast and Iceman's ice powers and Beast's agility and strength to defeat all four of the X-Men. The X-Men barely put up a fight, like they were holding back. With the X-Men defeated, we flash back a few days to understand how this fight came to be. Angel has been wounded last issue by a stray optic blast, and Cyclops is feeling super guilty, doubting whether he wants to be leader anymore. And elsewhere at university, Jean Grey has quit the X-Men and is enraptured by a guy named Ted, who was just really good at sports. As they talk, the chemistry building explodes behind them, and a student called Cal Rankin is pulled out. He's known to Jean as the Mimic, that person that they defeated at the start. She thinks that he's forgotten all about his mimicking abilities, but it seems that the explosion has awoken those memories. Elsewhere once more, a villain known as the Puppet Master wants revenge on the Fantastic Four. He can make dolls of anybody to control them, and so he attempts to make one of Professor Xavier, only to find it impossible to hold due to the Professor's mental defenses. As for the Professor, he's astral projecting around the world. With Angel injured, Cyclops losing faith, and Jean quit, he's looking to bolster the ranks of his X-Men. At first, he tries asking Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch to join, but they can't join the X-Men because they're Avengers now. When Iceman and Beast stumble upon Spider-Man, our hero, stopping a bank robbery, they are psychically instructed to ask him to join the X-Men. He rudely turns them down, too upset about how his Avengers trial went, and swings away. Later, the X-Men arrive to pick up Jean Grey and hope to bump into Johnny Storm to ask him to join the X-Men. But instead of Johnny, they find Cal Rankin, the Mimic, and they invite him to join the X-Men instead, which gives Puppet Master, watching on a screen, an idea. Back at the mansion, Professor Xavier announces that Cyclops no longer wants to be leader and that Cal will be instead, which is the perfect time for the Puppet Master to take control of the Mimic, and we're back to the fight that started it all. With the X-Men defeated, the Mimic goes after the Fantastic Four, and Professor X reveals that they were holding back because the Professor was psychically making them. He knew that the Puppet Master was behind this all along and wanted them to look defeated so they could catch the villain by surprise. The X-Men fly out to defeat the Puppet Master, followed by the still injured Angel. They arrive, defeat his golem by destroying the ground underneath it, and then they're halted in their arrival by the Mimic, controlled to protect the Puppet Master. However, thanks to having Xavier's abilities, the Mimic is able to resist his commands just long enough for the Angel to grab the Mimic statue that controls him and smash it on the ground. While the X-Men tend to Angel, who definitely shouldn't have been fighting villains in his condition, the Mimic flees and considers himself condemned, always forced to steal another's powers. Thanks for watching, and while we wait for the next issue, here's a fun fact about this one. The Mimic ends up being the first character that gets added to the X-Men, and he's also the first non-mutant to join the team. However, later stories retcon this and make the Mimic a mutant all along.